numbers back down. It's called 120 Life, and it has natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Yes, a superfood juice is showing amazing results for high blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma medication. Try 120 Life risk-free now with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout for 15% off.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome. Thanks a lot, audience. Thanks for joining me on The Real Story tonight. It's Sunday night. We got a lot of great guests. We're going to talk about that Trump election executive order. We're going to have Eric Lee. He's with Judicial Watch. They're suing the Trump, the administration. Actually, they're suing over a law, Mississippi law, basically saying, look, you can't extend ballot counting past Election Day. Well, guess what? President Trump actually discusses that in his executive order. He says, no, all ballots counted by Election Day. So we're going to be talking with him. I've got an absolutely fantastic guest in the second hour. Major General Joe Arbuckle is here. We're going to talk about military readiness. And it was the commemoration of Vietnam Veterans Day yesterday, and that was actually really didn't hear anything about it in the media. Why not? So we'll talk to him about that and a little bit more. Also, it's local election time. April 1st, Tuesday, local elections. Guess what? Illinois taxpayers matter, so your local elections matter. And we're going to have a number of people who will talk about the local elections, including in the Edgar County Watchdogs segment. We're going to have the top 10 worst local officials that were elected by the people and what they ended up doing and screwing up. That is going to be a very fun list to listen to. But given that we are only 2 days away from that very important local election, April 1st, I'm willing to take calls from people who want to call in and tell me who people should vote for in your local area. If I don't recognize you, I may, look a little askance, but I know there's a lot of good people out there that are running for local election. If you want to weigh in and talk about it on the radio, that's great. We'll be discussing it all through the show tonight, but especially in the next half hour. But before we begin that, I got to tell you, you got to love it when the liberals are just absolutely beating up on their own party. Well, maybe it's still their party. I don't know if it's still. Maybe some of them have changed. That's great. And this one in particular was really good. I don't know if you remember, but Scott Adams, the creator of the Dilbert cartoon, probably about a year ago, actually did this sort of confessional. And he discussed the fact that, hey, guess what? You win. Meaning, if you didn't take that COVID shot, you actually win. Because come to find out, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and in fact, maybe be actually dangerous. And so he does this whole mea culpa, almost an apology about how he treated people who wouldn't take the vaccine, how he treated all the COVID mandates, and did that. Well, he's back again, and this one is absolutely gold. He says Trump should create the Department of Imaginary Concerns. Take a listen.
Now that we know that the big problem was the imaginary concern of what could have happened but didn't happen, I've suggested that Trump should create a Department of Imaginary Concerns, and it would be only to handle Democrat complaints. And the new department could have imaginary policies to combat the imaginary concerns. So you would place things like climate change in there, climate change, at least the crisis part of the climate change. You put the Russia collusion thing in there. You put the Houthis could have found out by hacking Signal in there. You put Trump might steal your democracy in the imaginary concerns department. That Musk might steal our social security numbers. That you put that right in the Department of Imaginary Concerns, and that there might be a constitutional crisis. Yep, that's the Department of Imaginary Concerns. Now, I'm not completely serious about this, but just think how funny it would be if every time one of these hoaxes comes up and Trump is asked about it, he says, "Oh, I've delegated that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns." But are you trying to steal our democracy? That's a perfectly good question. So I've delegated that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns. Did you agree with Putin to have sex with him if he stops the fighting? Well, no. But I'm gonna assign that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns, and we'll come up with an imaginary policy to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I mean, that's just so perfect. That's exactly how you have to treat these Democrats. And by the way, they keep at it. You've had a number of Tesla takedown protests that went on all around the suburbs here in Chicagoland. Oh, yeah, they're hard at it. They think it's great. In Wheaton, beautiful Wheaton, beautiful Christian Wheaton, known for its, having the most churches per capita at one point. I don't know if they still do. I don't know if that holds true. Home of Wheaton College, the Billy Graham Center, you name it. Well, what's going on in the center of Wheaton at historic Adams Park? Well, if you don't want to miss this one, because next Saturday, you're going to have the West Suburban Democrat Socialist of America rally. That's right. You can join them. Bring your signs. Let's protest Trump. Let's protest Musk. Let's protest. Oh, by the way, 77% of the people agree with the Department of Efficiency. They agree that we should be looking at these things. And you should too. But it's Trump derangement syndrome all the time. So Scott Adams is great. I mean, this is absolutely perfect. A Department of Imaginary Concerns. What could be better? You have to mock these people at this point. They're not serious individuals. Neither is our governor. Our governor's not a serious individual. He's like all upset that, the Trump administration is apparently going to slash pledged funding that would protect Illinoisans from infectious disease outbreaks. That's the headline. Excuse me, Governor Pritzker, you're worried about $125 million. Are you kidding me? You're increasing the budget this year by $2 billion, and you can't carve out $125 million for infectious disease control that you think is so important. But since the federal government's not going to fund it, you're not going to fund it. It's that important, but you're not going to fund infectious disease control. I mean, these people are outrageous. By the way, one other thing that I find very interesting, I found out this week because I went down to Springfield. I hadn't been back in quite a few years, actually. And I went back there to the pro-life march, and I was one of the speakers there. And I found out that actually Trump derangement syndrome is really doing well on the House floor. Apparently, the Democrats get up there and they do their 2, 3, 4-minute speeches about something that happened with Trump. Every single session day, they get up and they spout off about Trump. Well, I mean, at least the Illinois Freedom Caucus is in the right mood. State Rep Chris Miller said, look, I've got a safe space for you. Come to my office. I've got crayons and a coloring book. I've got hot cocoa for you. I've even got an Elon Musk punching bag that you can, take your frustrations off. But this is exactly how they should be treated. With derision, with mockery, because they're not serious people. We have serious problems in this country, $36 trillion in debt. And these guys are upset because 0.15% of the workforce, not 15%, not 1.5%, but 0.15% of the workforce has apparently been let go. This is the federal workforce. Not serious. These people are not serious. Okay, I am kind of flying blind here because my radio clock is not up, but I do see by the other time that it's about time to go to break because I need to come back. I need to go to break a little bit earlier because I'm going to have Eric Lee, Judicial Watch attorney, about that election executive order and other cases that they are dealing with. He'll be right back, and we'll see you right after break. Don't turn the channel.
Spring is in the air, and that means it's time to check the starting lineup.
Play ball!
Leading off for AM 560 every morning at 5, it's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson, followed at 9 by Mike Gallagher. Moving up in the lineup, it's Charlie Kirk, now heard at 11. Then at 2, it's 2 full hours of Hugh Hewitt, followed by Sean Thompson at 4, Seculo at 7, and rounding out the lineup, Larry Elder at 8. Top to bottom, the best lineup in Chicago radio is right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, folks, your friend Sean Hannity here. Sadly, imagine a scenario where you or your loved ones face a threat. Your first instinct might be to resort to lethal force, but it is crucial to consider a safer, less lethal alternative first to avoid the legal complications associated with deadly firearms. Byrna's less lethal pistol launcher is equipped with tear gas, kinetic ammunition. It's designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Here's a real-life account from a Byrna customer named Adam. Now, Adam encountered a road rage driver who aggressively approached him. Adam dialed 911, armed himself with his Byrna launcher. He aimed the laser at the aggressor's chest. The driver returned to his vehicle and awaited the police. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. It requires no background checks, can be shipped directly to your door. Just go to Byrna.com/Hannity. You get 10% off as a discount. That's BYRNA.com/Hannity. And check out their videos while you're there.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money, a bigger house, maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How do you wake up each day? How do you sleep during the night? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. It doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. How do I know? Absolutely am a customer. I take Relief Factor daily. No lower back pain for me anymore. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Just one phone call, 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF. Relief Factor, relief wherever you're hurting in 3 weeks or even days. Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for the one and only Relief Factor.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hardworking military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Thanks for joining me. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. The phone number here, 312-642-5600. Well, Trump has not slowed down one bit. And there is no doubt with his latest executive order dealing with election integrity, he's going to be right back in court. Let's face it. What has he got? A couple dozen lawsuits now pending over the way that he operates, the things that he has decided to do. You know, you can't deport, criminal illegals anymore, apparently. You can't get rid of DEI stuff. You can't get rid of USAID payments that are absolutely bogus. I guess you can't deport a guy who's, essentially riling up students and he's only a green card holder. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's outrageous, but there's no doubt that the left is going to go nuts when they get a hold of his executive order. And in fact, the beginning of it says, the policy and the purpose, this is his preserving and protection of the integrity of American elections. Despite pioneering self-government, the United States now fails to enforce basic and necessary election protections employed by the modern developed nations, as well as those still developing. India and Brazil, for example, are tying voter identification to a biometric database, while the United States largely relies on self-attestation for citizenship. In tabulating votes, Germany and Canada require use of paper ballots, counted in public by local officials, which substantially reduces the number of disputes as compared to American patchwork of voting methods that can lead to basic chain of custody problems. Further, while countries like Denmark and Sweden sensibly limit mail-in voting to those unable to vote in person and do not count late arriving votes regardless of the date of the postmark, many American elections now feature mass voting by mail, with many officials accepting ballots without postmarks or those received well after Election Day. As a matter of fact, Illinois allows vote counting 14 days post-Election Day. It's outrageous. Well, here to talk about the executive order and much, much more, including the Mississippi lawsuit about counting ballots post-Election Day, is Eric Lee. He's an attorney with Judicial Watch and one of the leading lawyers involved in the Mississippi case, which does challenge ballot counting past Election Day. Eric, thank you so much for joining me tonight on The Real Story.
Good evening, Jeannie. Thanks for having me.
So let's just start with the Mississippi case, which I think has a lot of impact across the country. Would you tell us how many states stand to benefit, or how many voters stand to benefit in how many states, and what's the status of that case right now?
Sure. So we filed a lawsuit in Mississippi, and we have other lawsuits in California and Illinois challenging the same practice of post-election day receipt of vote-by-mail ballots. The Mississippi case, we sued and we won in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals just recently in October of last year, found that the procedure for Mississippi counts absentee and vote-by-mail ballots 5 days after Election Day conflicts and is preempted by the federal Election Day statutes passed by Congress in the 1800s. So the one that we were over 150 years that we've been all going by the day of the election as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. That procedure, that federal law actually trumps conflicting state law that allows post-election day receipt of ballots, because the Fifth Circuit found that the combined actions of voters and officials means the day of the election, and the combined actions of voters and officials must mean a voter casts the ballot and that ballot is received on Election Day, as Congress intended in 1845. Now that decision is in the Fifth Circuit, which covers Mississippi, of course, Louisiana, and Texas. And so those are the three states in the Fifth Circuit, and it's binding on all three. Louisiana currently has Election Day receipt, mandates Election Day receipt, but Texas has post-Election Day receipt. We sent a letter to the Texas Secretary of State just a few weeks ago informing the Texas Secretary that their law as it stands right now is in violation of the Fifth Circuit's ruling. So we're waiting to hear back on that. We don't know that if the state will decide to appeal that decision or not. The appellate route from here is the U.S. Supreme Court. The state will have until June 12th to decide whether it wants to appeal that decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. If the U.S. Supreme Court takes the case and affirms the Fifth Circuit ruling, then it's binding on all 50 states. That's precedent in all 50 states.
Wow, that's great. So currently, how many states do have post-election voting or ballot counting?
Currently, the 17 states allow absentee ballots to be counted if received after Election Day. 17 states in the District of Columbia. The ones that we're suing are Illinois, California, and Mississippi. Illinois is actually more egregious than Mississippi in that they allow 14 days to be counted, to be canvassed if they received a ballot after Election Day. And the ballot does not even have to be postmarked under Illinois law. It just has to be signed. If it's not postmarked by Election Day, it has to be signed by the voter that they had casted on Election Day.
Well, over the past 10 years, and part of that time I was a state legislator about every 2 years, right, ahead of election, the major elections, they would usually pass some sort of omnibus election law in the state of Illinois. And one of them was to extend the ballot counting to 14 days. So that hasn't been in effect for a really long time, but I think it's only been in effect for the last decade. But this is the way that they have creeped up in diminishing the integrity of our elections in the state.
Right. And we're representing Congressman Mike Boss from Illinois' 12th Congressional District and 2 presidential electors in that case. And it's currently on review at the U.S. Supreme Court, where we petitioned. We lost, actually, not on the merits, but on a jurisdictional question of whether these 3 plaintiffs, including a sitting congressman, has something called Article 3 standing and injury in fact to challenge these decisions. And it was a 2-1 Seventh Circuit decision that said that Congressman Boss and the electors did not have standing. And it actually conflicted with a case just a few years ago out of the Eighth Circuit, in a case called Carson versus Simon, that found that the electors did have standing whenever they challenged an unlawful electoral practice. And in that case, that was in Minnesota. And so we have a circuit split now where we have 7 circuits saying one thing and the 8th Circuit saying another. And I think that it tees it up squarely for the U.S. Supreme Court. And actually, they just ordered the state. We filed our petition for review to the Supreme Court. The state waived their right to respond, but the Supreme Court on January 2nd of this year ordered the State Board of Elections to respond to our petition for review. And so their response, they've removed for an extension a couple times. Their response is now due April 3rd, and our reply is due April 17th. So once it's fully briefed, then the Supreme Court will decide whether to grant a review of this case.
And so that's the state of Illinois was directed to respond.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So, I mean, well, that's monumental. The whole thing with standing, however, is also part of the reason that none of those 2020 election challenges went forward, is my understanding that most of those challenges were based off of standing.
Exactly. Exactly. And they weren't merits-based decisions.
Right.
They all were dismissed on jurisdictional questions. And one of the decisions was subsequently vacated by the Supreme Court of the United States after the fact. And it was a case out of the Third Circuit in Pennsylvania. And it was a case that actually the Seventh Circuit relied on in our decision, which I think that the Supreme Court probably may I'm not sure. I'm just reading the tea leaves. It may not have sit well with some members of the court, that the Seventh Circuit is relying on a vacated decision by the Supreme Court to uphold the state, find that Congressman Boss has lack standing.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine that somebody who was on the ballot and also is a voter in that district doesn't have standing. It just makes no sense to the common man. Right. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it doesn't seem that difficult to understand that particular part.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's interesting that, you know, the way that it's working out now with President Trump's executive order, like you said, that Section 7 of that order, that preserving and protecting the integrity of American elections, mandates the U.S. Attorney General to take necessary steps now to enforce the Election Day statutes and require a ballot receipt on or before Election Day. And so that basically says that the Attorney General and Department of Justice come in and start suing to enforce these Election Day statutes in cases in these states, 17 states across the country that are allowing it.
Well, of course, that's going to be sued over as well, right? What about this citizenship attestation form that the Trump EO also is requiring?
Well, what I like that the Trump executive order is doing is that it's empowering the Election Assistance Commission, the EAC, to really begin the process to amend the form that they use to register to vote. Because right now, the registration, when you go to register to vote using mail application or regular applications at a state agency, all you have to do is check a box that you are a citizen of the United States. There's no requirement prove that you are a citizen, and there's no after-the-fact verification from federal agencies to determine whether a applicant is a citizen. And this executive order actually mandates the EAC look into the beginning of this process and work with various agencies such as Department of Homeland Security, which has this information on citizenship, and other agencies, I think the Secretary of State, to review Social Security number verifications, other programs that they have to provide security for the registration application process to ensure that you are an actual U.S. citizen when you register to vote. And that should be the case. It shouldn't be just a checkbox, because we've seen across the country this does not work. The honor system does not work.
Yeah, so they'll tell you, though, that honor system, maybe it doesn't work, but there's not really enough of them to really, at least influence a large presidential election or maybe even a congressional. But you know what? Why should we even sow any doubt? And anybody who wants to challenge that, like, why not just be sure?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so, the other thing is, like, Judicial Watch, by the way, in full disclosure, I am a plaintiff with Judicial Watch against the State Board of Election about the cleanup of voter rolls. And that case is still, weaving its way through the whole system. Just wanted to let people know that. But Judicial Watch, you guys do a lot more than just take on election integrity. You take on all sorts of issues. I know you even take on FOIA issues. I know that you're involved in a lawsuit against my own alma mater, West Point, because they would not respond to FOIA in time. Could you just tell my audience, we only have a little bit of time left, but just kind of giving them an idea of what else you guys are involved in?
So we're the largest public interest organization that does FOIA requests and litigation. No other organization comes close to doing public records requests and litigations to enforce state and federal public records laws. We get those records out to the public, and we let the public know what their government is up to.
Hey, Eric, I am short on time. I'm up against the clock, and I lost my clock, so I got to let you go. But thank you so much for being on The Real Story with me. We'll continue this at another time.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Okay. George, I was looking at the clock there. I'm a little bit screwed up here, guys, because according to this other clock, it's time for a break. And George is saying I can keep wrapping it up. So I just wanted to let you guys know, like, Judicial Watch, great organization. If you can donate to them, do that, because they are involved in all sorts of cases across the country dealing with anything that you might have a legal issue with the federal government, your local government, your state government. They're there to help protect people. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with this voter cleanup roll that we have going. And on
Tuesday, Floridians decide who will fill 2 vacant congressional seats. Democrats have been making strides in fundraising for, but Republican Congressman Buddy Carter of Georgia told the Fox Report he's confident in GOP victories.
People believe in the Trump agenda, and now we're going to have reinforcements to enforce that agenda and get that agenda through Congress.
The special elections will fill seats vacated by the resignation of Representative Matt Gaetz and the appointment of Michael Waltz as National Security Advisor. America's listening to Fox News.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Mike Lindell and his employees want to personally thank you for your continued support of MyPillow. They have a big allotment of their bed sheets that were earmarked for the box stores this spring. Well, they did it again. The box stores didn't come through, so they're going to pass the savings on to you. Now there is no middleman, so you're going to get wholesale prices on their famous Giza Dreams and Percale bed sheets. Giza Dream queen size normally $139.98. Your wholesale price $69.99. King size only $79.99. Percale queen size normally $89.98. Your wholesale price $29.98. King size only $34.98. So go to mypillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. Free shipping options available. This allotment won't last long. When they're gone, they're gone. So remember, go to mypillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to get these amazing wholesale offers.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey, folks, your friend Sean Hannity here. Sadly, imagine a scenario where you or your loved ones face a threat. Your first instinct might be to resort to lethal force, but it is crucial to consider a safer, less lethal alternative first to avoid the legal complications associated with deadly firearms. Byrna's less lethal pistol launcher is equipped with tear gas, kinetic ammunition. It's designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Here's a real-life account from a Byrna customer named Adam. Now, Adam encountered a road rage driver who aggressively approached him. Adam dialed 911, armed himself with his Byrna launcher. He aimed the laser at the aggressor's chest. The driver returned to his vehicle and awaited the police. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. It requires no background checks, can be shipped directly to your door. Just go to Byrna.com/Hannity. You get 10% off as a discount. That's BYRNA.com/Hannity. And check out their videos while you're there.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Hey, I just got to tell you guys, my clock's a little bit screwed up here. It's a blank screen, so I'm looking at a different rolling clock to figure out where my breaks are. And just so you know, I don't know if you know about radio, but like for my show, I mean, we have a hard break at the bottom of the hour. We have a hard break at the top of the hour. I cannot miss those. They're just going to go often, I'm just going to trail off right into a news break. So trying to hit those breaks without a screen right now. So just letting you know that. I got to tell you, again, back to this being like a really important election. It certainly is. These are your local elections. These are where, if you signed up for my newsletter, if you saw my newsletter today, I actually put out all of the lines that I pay on my property tax bill. I put on my actual property tax bill, okay, $14,700. I pay to, a number of entities. 95% of the control of the property taxes is on the ballot for me in April 1st. So that would be my township, the community college, the school board, which is the most of them, the city of Wheaton, the regional superintendent. These are all people that are, take a bite out of your not the regional school superintendent. They don't have a bite on your property taxes, but they still are something that you need to be concerned about. But they all take a bite out of your property tax bill, and all of those, the control of those is right up there. Oh, the Park District, Wheaton Park District, one of the highest taxing park districts in all of DuPage County, by the way. Yeah, it's right there. So you should care about, your money, and you should care about who's in control of your money. And when you're paying the second highest property taxes in the state, then maybe you should pay attention to local elections. That's how I feel about it. But I mean, it's not just the amount that you're paying. There's all sorts of other things that happen at the local level. They determine, your police protection, the strategies for policing, your zoning, your whether your water, your sewer, and your roads are up to date, and if they're spending the appropriate amount of money on those, keeping them up to date. Your township highways, same thing. All that is really important to the quality of life in your own local area. The quality of your parks, all that's important. So pay attention. And so I wanted to talk to somebody who knows this intimately, and they've got quite the fight going on, and that is Cindy Nelson. She's on the Orland Park council down there, the Village of Orland Park. She's a trustee there, and we've had her on before, but it's really important to review this how important it is to elect the right people to these local boards. So I have Cindy on with me. Cindy, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Jeannie. I'm honored to be on your program again. Thank you.
So, you know what? The Daily Herald had an article, and by the way, they don't usually let you read their articles for free, but Russell Lissow, he wrote this Daily Herald article called Unnecessary Angst, Partisan Politics Creeping into Local Races. Excuse me, Daily Herald, but you know this better than anybody. Partisan politics have been creeping into local races for a very, very long time. I mean, this is the farm team for so many people moving up to state rep or county board or whatever else. And it's no different this year, but I will say this, it's very nasty this year. So tell me, I mean, your perception of all this, partisan, you know, whether or not partisan, nonpartisan, what's it look like in your area?
Well, in Orland Park, it certainly is very partisan. You know, we're on the south end of Cook County, where we do have a lot of Chicago Democrats. I'm also the committee person for the Republican committee person for Orland Township. What we were able to do, Jeannie, is, you know, through grassroots effort, we've got a lot of excellent people that stood up in this election cycle to run. They didn't like what was going on, particularly in our schools. If you look at the, as it's across the state, the test scores, and whether or not you have kids in school, you know, school districts have a direct correlation to property values. So it's important not only that our kids get educated, but it holds the value and desirability of the community. So we were very lucky. We got 25 candidates to run, and all with like-minded and just wanting a better community. Mm-hmm. We can do better than what is there. Of course, at the top of our ticket is Mayor Keith Peacock. He is running against a 31-year 31 incumbent. He's not really an incumbent, but he was in office prior for 31 years. And it's really interesting because, you know, like what happens in elections, instead of talking about what you have done or what you will do, it's trying to knock him. Mr. Mayor Peacock has done more in 8 years than his opponent did in 31 years. So that's real interesting how the facts get in the way sometimes of the, you know, they try to tell a tale, but the facts, you know, the facts are what the facts are. And anybody that knows Mayor Peacock, he's a fact-based person for sure. But what we also have is we have the games going on. I'm sure that's in other local elections. Mm-hmm. We have the person that I beat out 2 years ago for this position, and another gentleman, Casper, put out another fake Republican sample ballot and called it official. And of course, have Democrats on it to confuse the voter. So that's, you know, that's certainly not a good thing, but I think our message has gotten out. We're seeing people come to the polls, and, you know, with Trump's victory, I think that's helped a little bit. I think we're seeing more and more Republicans that want good government. Right. You know, they want a lean budget. They don't want the patronage, whether it be, you know, with employees or with contracts, merit-based hiring, and just to run, you know, be very mindful of the taxpayer dollar.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, you know, the Daily Herald article, Lissow was pretty fair. I mean, he did note that the McHenry County Democratic Party is promoting candidates in more than 90 local races. Democratic township organizations in Wheeling, Elk Grove, and Mundelein are also pushing their preferred candidates. Democratic U.S. Rep. Lauren Underwood and Bill Foster were actively campaigning in Naperville races. You know, and so they were fair. Then they started in on the, you know, the DuPage County Republican Party Chair Kevin Coyne. Certainly he's endorsed in certain races. Safe Suburbs has endorsed. And in Wheaton, they didn't mention this one, which I was really kind of sad that they didn't mention this one. Chris Welch, the Democrat Speaker of the Illinois House, was in Wheaton walking for the Township Democrat slate, including also a bunch of IEA-backed candidates for the local school board. So, I mean, these, just let's face it, these have gotten partisan. Have you seen the same thing as, like, I know Senator Hastings probably has some preferred candidates down there. Yes, he does. He has candidates running both in our township and in the fire district. So, yes, they definitely have outside influences, you know, with, you know, politicians elected to higher office, you know, cultivating their team, so to speak, as you said. Yeah. So, Cindy, before I let you go, just if you could rattle off some of the names that you are supporting. I know you. I trust you to pick the right people in Orland Park. And this is a huge fight, especially for that Orland Park Fire Protection District, which has misspent taxpayer money to the point where now the union is asking for an investigation on the misspent funds. Remember, my Edgar County Watchdogs put out the article saying that the Orland Park Fire Protection District actually was paying a DEI consultant that was in prison, writing her checks for DEI consultancy to an Orland Fire Protection District. This is insane. And so if you want that, if you think that's stupid, then you must pay attention and vote for the right people. So who are those people, Cindy? Just run down the list.
The Fire District, yes, please. Trustees for the Orland Fire Protection District, we have Mark Mitchell, Paris Surratt, and Steve Troglio. Those are our preferred candidates. For Village Board, Keith Pico, of course, the incumbent, Brian Gaspardo for clerk, Sean Compass for trustee, Carol McGurry for trustee, Brian Reardon for trustee. We also have a township slate that's going head-to-head with 2 Democrat township slates that are running. So there's 3 slates running. We are supporting Deborah Kirby-Pasacco, Shannon Olson for clerk, William A. Brennan for highway commissioner, and our township trustees, Kenneth Duffy, Frank Williams, Kenneth Soltis, and Matthew Keene Jr. Also for District 135, our elementary schools, Chad Capps, Ray Morandi, Vince Oloweske, Kelly Chamalinsky, and also for District 230, our high school district, it's James Bax, Tim Danlow, Lucas Verbakis, and Mike Martinez. They can also be found at oprepublicans.com, oprepublicans.com, or on our Facebook post, Orland GOP.
Awesome. That's so great. Okay, Cindy, I got to go to break. Thank you so much for joining me on The Real Story. We'll be right back, and we'll take your calls. If you are a candidate and you want to discuss your race, give us a call, 312-642-5600. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
EasyCater is the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. With easy online ordering, search filters for budget, dietary needs, and more. Save your favorite restaurants and favorite orders for easy reordering. Save time with group ordering. You send a link, your team orders what they want. Plus, EasyCater makes expense reporting a snap with all your receipts in one place. EasyCater, more than just a way to order catering for work, it's your business tool for food. Order now at easycater.com.
It's your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month.
Definitely a very smart move.
Get both and watch Star Wars Andor Season 2 and Mufasa the Lion King on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of stories with all of us.
On Hulu, it's the new season of The Handmaid's Tale and A Complete Unknown.
Give a warm welcome to Bob Dylan.
Don't miss your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month for 4 months. New and returning subscribers, 18 plus only. After 4 months, plan auto renews at $10.99 a month until canceled. Offer ends 3/30/25. Terms apply.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life, like it has mine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call to 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. 1-800-4RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start. Visit ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com, or call 1-800-4RELIEF. 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
You can hear this today at PreggerTopia.com.
Hello, Dennis. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm a long-time listener.
Good.
Decades, probably. But
Good, yeah.
And you give me so many insights that you've really helped to change my thinking and my life to the better.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Preggertopia members only. Go to PreggerTopia.com.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit SurroundChicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit SurroundChicago.com today.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. Well, I don't know. I just wanted to play this clip because, Governor Pritzker he stepped on it all the time. He's still on his, bash Trump tour. He's still on his, I need to go to all the progressive dinners that I possibly can. And so he found himself at the human rights campaign dinner. And he was talking about his childhood, and apparently he was, brought up in California. By the way, he really didn't show up in Illinois for much until about the same time I did, by the, 92, 93 time frame. Yeah, sure, he had connections to Illinois, but he wasn't raised here. He was actually raised in California for the most part. And, he went into the fact about his mother always brought him to, gay pride stuff all the time. And this is what he had to say about all of that.
I have to laugh when I hear the right wing carry on about the dangers of exposing kids to trans people or same-sex couples, because I'm living proof that introducing your kids to the gay agenda might result in them growing up to be governor.
Hi. Seriously?
Good grief. I mean, you cannot make that up. Introducing your kids to the gay agenda might result in them growing up to be governor. I mean, he's trying to justify everything that what happened in Deerfield School District, where Nicole Georges confronted her school board, and they basically gave her the blank stare. As far as I know, nothing's happened. If anything, they're lawyering up, because now they're looking at a civil rights lawsuit coming down from them from Donald Trump's Justice Department, because she filed that. I don't know if she went through with filing the police report or anything, but you know what? Your school boards have a lot of control over your children. And obviously Governor Pritzker does too. But you know what? If you had a good school board, they could stand up to him. They don't have to push this nonsense. And I'm sure in conservative parts of the state, they don't. They just ignore his quote unquote guidance. Because again, this isn't law. This is not law. But you wouldn't have problems if you paid attention more to who you had running your local boards. So here to talk about that, we've got caller. We got Natasha on the line. Natasha, I guess you're a write-in candidate for District 211. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me on The Real Story.
Yeah, hi, Jeannie. Thank you for having me. And I have Violetta, who's another write-in candidate with me. We're running together for District 211.
Okay. Hi, how you guys doing? Natasha, spell your last name again, both of you, so they can hear it clearly.
Yeah, it's Mucci, Mucci. And my last name is F-L-I-S.
Phyllis, okay. Okay, Felice or Felice? Okay, Felice and Mucci, and they're candidates. They're write-in candidates for D211. Ladies, tell me why are you running for school board?
I have to say I have two kids that went through the school system as I did. I grew up in the area, and my daughter wanted to be a school teacher going into Palatine High School. She went to Palatine, and by the end of her career there, she said she wanted me to homeschool her children. Yeah, she struggled with the thought of having to change next to a boy. Thankfully, it never happened, but she did water polo, and that was a concern for her, and she just didn't appreciate the politics that were in the school. So that's why I'm running. I want the politics out of the schools.
So she was involved in that situation probably, I think it was 2014, maybe 2015, where Palatine High School had allowed a biological boy to come into the girls' locker room. Was she during that time?
Actually, I think she actually got in there maybe the year after that whole lawsuit happened. She never had that experience happen, but they opened up the doors to that. And again, she was in sports. She did water polo, and she, had to change into a swimsuit, and she did not feel comfortable doing that in front of a young boy. So.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, and Miss Felice, what's your reason for running?
Well, this majority is education, and just want to make sure that my kids and the rest of the kids from our town receive the world-class education so we can compete with the rest of the world. And that's a major concern. And the other thing is just responsible budgeting, transparency, and making decisions, prioritize both fiscal, money-wise and academic excellence. So just the future of our children and the future of our town. I think, I don't know, I'm a full-time working mom, like really busy, and so it's like a cherry on the top with this, and I just want to help out.
Well, that's admirable, because the school board is one of probably the toughest board to actually serve on, and usually it's uncompensated. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's always uncompensated, and so it's you've got to deal with a lot of pressure, a lot of parents, a lot of issues. And so I applaud you girls for stepping up and doing this. And so do you have a website or something that people can go to so they make sure, because when you're writing candidate, they have to spell the name exactly, plus fill in the box. Fill in the box, folks. If you've got writing candidates, and there's one in Wheaton City Council East District, Michael Barbier, fill in that box and write the full name exactly. Is there a place where people can find that information?
My website is Mucci for D211BOE, so MUCCI FORD 211BOE.
Okay.
Yes, and my website is D211votefleece.com. So my last names go FLIS.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and thank you again for running. Good luck on Tuesday. I hope you're successful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, and we'll still be taking some calls here, 312-642-5600, if you have other candidates that you want to call in about, and ahead of this election on Tuesday. It's a really important election. But, it's also a perilous time, and I did this Facebook Live with Tom Chavez. He was here actually last week, maybe the week before. He was live here on the campaign trail talking about his Elmhurst school board race. And then I had him on after he told me about this mailer that went out, which is actually, I think, backfiring on him. But essentially, the left came after him. And, of course, the mailers accused him of being an extremist, someone who supports book bans and censorship and seeks to control what we read and teachers teach. That's all leftist jargon. And my education and cultural writer, Lori Higgins, wrote about this. You can go to breakthrough-ideas.com. Read it because she actually just goes through exactly what it all means. And she did write about this race, and she did a great job about it. She said there's 5 candidates vying for 3 spots, and only one is conservative. That's Tom Chavez. If he doesn't win, the board will look exactly like, good point, National Public Radio's editorial board. It'll have 0 conservatives. That's the kind of diversity leftists love. School boards across the country lust after ideological monopolies. That is so true. A lot of these school boards, they just fall into groupthink. It gets too hard to fight them back. And if you're just the one member conservative on the board, then you don't do. Now, they right now do have a conservative on the Elmhurst 205 board, just one, and he's decided not to run again. Chavez, though, he did some digging about who was behind the mailers, and he says that the source of the political attack flyer that many Elmhurst residents received in their mailbox is a far-left Chicago-based pro-abortion, pro-sexualizing children, pro-LGBTQ, pro-transgender indoctrination inside school classrooms PAC called Personal PAC. Among the things they support are the promotion of comprehensive sexuality education inside schools, getting rid of parental consent for minor children, and much, much more. Anyway, pay attention, folks. We'll be right back after this break. I've got Major General Joe Arbuckle joining me in the next hour.
Carl Jackson stands up for the America he loves on the Carl Jackson Podcast.
Donald Trump has the authority as the head of the executive branch to fire and to stop payments within the executive branch. Appropriating funds is one thing. Finding corruption and theft is another. We wanted Trump to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Did we know that it was going to be this bad? No.
Subscribe to the Carl Jackson Podcast today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile.
Signal chat fallout. I'm Deborah Valentine, Fox News. The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic claims information leaked to him during a Signal chat among top White House officials was indeed classified. Jeffrey Goldberg on NBC's Meet the Press refuting claims from National Security Advisor Michael Waltz that he and Goldberg never met and didn't have his contact information.
This has become a somewhat farcical situation. There's no subterfuge here. My number was in his phone. He mistakenly added me to the group chat. There we go.
The group chat discussed U.S. bombings on Houthi rebels in Yemen. White House officials insist no classified information was shared in that text chain. Southeast Asia, including India, Thailand, and China, are trying to recover from a massive earthquake. Fox's Stephanie Bennett reports.
The earthquake's epicenter was just outside of Mandalay, which is home to about 1.5 million people, many of which spent the night sleeping outside in the streets because their homes have been destroyed and also because of the fear of aftershocks. Now, of course, this happened 2 days ago. The 7.7 earthquake struck. Buildings have been toppled and critical infrastructure like the city's airport has also been damaged. In hospitals, they're struggling to cope. Relief efforts have been hampered by broken roads, spotty communications, and of course, challenges of operating in a country in the midst of a civil war. Now, earlier today, another aftershock was reported, this time with a 5.1 magnitude.
Foreign rescue teams and supplies have begun to arrive. Elon Musk is in Green Bay, Wisconsin to hold a town hall ahead of Wisconsin's Supreme Court election Tuesday. The billionaire has already poured in millions of dollars into the 2025 Wisconsin Supreme Court race. County Judge and conservative candidate Brad Schimmel faces Dane County Judge and liberal candidate Susan Crawford. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, breezy this evening, mostly cloudy with a little rain, becoming mixed with snow and a low of 35. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, and cooler with a high of 46. Tomorrow night, breezy in the evening, otherwise partly cloudy with a low of 31. Tuesday, turning cloudy and chilly with a high of 44. Tuesday night, becoming breezy, cloudy late with periods of rain and a thunderstorm, low 41. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
It's important to have a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They aren't one of those massive companies with newer techs and subcontractors. Oh no, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling send only their own highly skilled techs. From service to installation and everything in between, the work quality and customer service is the best. For 40 years, the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling has kept homeowners and business customers comfy and warm in the winter and nice and cool in the warmer months. Don't call the big guys, call the best. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. That's Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. What is the congressional GOP waiting for? President Trump needs to remind his friends on the Hill that time is slipping away. Nothing is certain in American politics, especially majorities, and the title charts of federal elections have proven pretty reliable over the years. According to those title charts, the GOP should get thumped in November 2026. In order to avoid that thumping, Republicans would do well to pay attention to the remarks of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell last week. In a word, I'd describe his projection on the economy as meh. 1.7% GDP growth in 2025. And Republicans in 2026 can't afford meh. President Trump should summon the leaders of his party in Congress to the Teddy Roosevelt room and get the budget and the reconciliation package done now. Yeah, it's hard work, but it's nothing like farming or a multi-use land development project. It certainly pales in comparison to what the party would face if indeed Republicans get a thumping next year.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. We are broadcasting from our studios here in Elk Grove Village, just outside of Chicago. My producer, George, is doing a great job. And again, I still have a blank clock in front of me, so if you hear the music pipe up, that's kind of my sign that I need to move on or I'm headed to a break. But I'm flying blind right now, which is, I guess that's okay. As long as I can talk and make the conversation interesting, I think you guys will keep listening.
I'm more than happy to give you the Team America emergency symbol by waving my arms.
Yes, you're very good at that, George, but I don't usually look across the way there into the window, and it's very blurry, by the way.
No one wants to look at me. It's fine.
It's okay. But you know what? I'll tell you what. Somebody who is going to pique your interest more than anything is Major General Joe Arbuckle. He joins me today. We're talking about military readiness, and I met General Arbuckle as I was doing some volunteer work with STARS, the Standing Against Racism and Radicalism in the Services. They've got a great board that they've put together, an awesome website that for 5 years now has been illustrating the issues in the military on the readiness side. And Major General Joe Arbuckle is the vice chair of the board of directors for that organization, for STARS. Believe it or not, he was born in Lincoln, Illinois, but he did not spend a lot of time there. He was actually drafted to enter the Army as a private in 1969. He went through combat engineering training at Engineer Officer Candidate School. In 72, he deployed to Vietnam as an infantry first lieutenant, serving as an infantry advisor with the South Vietnamese Army. Thereafter, he attended ordnance systems training and spent most of his career in the missile field. During his later career years, he focused on national-level strategy and top-level logistics. He retired after 32 years. He loved the challenges, excitement, and the variety of jobs, the high levels of responsibility, and most of all, he loved the soldiers. And he's, of course, a very highly decorated warrior. And, I'm just so pleased to know who he is, know about him, have worked with him on some issues, and now have him on my radio program to talk about a really critical issue, military readiness. Before we get to that, though, we do want to recognize the fact that yesterday was actually an anniversary. It was in March 29th, 1973, that the last U.S. ground troops departed the Republic of Vietnam. And today, March 29th, the U.S. Army writes, has become a day of recognition, remembrance, healing, and education. And it marks the 8th anniversary of the Vietnam War Veterans Day. Major General Arbuckle, thank you so much for joining me on The Real Story. Tell us, how do you feel as a Vietnam veteran on a day like this?
Hi, Jeannie. First of all, thanks a lot for having me on. It's a real pleasure, and thank you for all the great work you do with STARS. It's a pleasure to be with you in that common mission. But and regarding Vietnam Veterans War Day, there's some things I think we should look at it on this moment. As you say, it ended 52 years ago when the last troops departed. They were primarily advisors. In fact, I left then also at that period of time. We need to recall that over 58,000 loyal, brave Americans were killed in that 10-year war, and about 1,700 are still missing in action today. And coincidentally, one of those missing in actions came from the same advisory team that I was on, but in a different location. And here's some stats that really shocked me. I looked up today. We had about 3.4 million Americans serve in Vietnam during that period of time. And there are about 600,000 still alive today, which is about 18% of the total who serve. So the ranks are thinning fast. About 500 a day die who served in Vietnam is what I found. So it's very, very, very important and appropriate to remember that sacrifice.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing it up. I do appreciate it. My own uncle, my Uncle Joe, he was a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart veteran from that war, and then later on went to serve in the CIA. And, he never really spoke about what he did, but he was also, he was very well decorated, and absolutely we respected him and his service. I had two other uncles who also served in that war. And, that war was problematic, and the soldiers who came back, they were not treated well at all. And in fact, it was kind of a low point for the Army. And the post-Vietnam War military was really in shambles. There was not a lot of respect, old equipment, demoralized from an incomplete mission and the loss of life. And, we did move to a volunteer force, but it took a decade to basically reshape that force. And only with Reagan's buildup did we see any improvement, I believe, in its capabilities. And that's about the time that I entered the military. 1983 is when I went to West Point. We see ourselves now kind of in this sort of a slump to some degree where readiness is an issue. And the challenge is different now. But we do have challenges. I wanted to play this clip real quick. It's Casey Wardynski. He is he was a retired colonel, but he was he's a former assistant secretary for defense. And he was on a podcast with Blaze TV in December of 2024. Here's what he had to say about the Army and collapse.
Millie, I'll be frank. One of my projects when I was running that outfit up at West Point, the Army was in a hell of a lot of trouble by 2004. This forever war we were in was grinding it into the dirt. And it was grinding it in the dirt because we were hemorrhaging our Army officers by the bushel. When I made the major, I had 10 years in the Army, and I was promoted on time, and 60% of my cohort made it. 40% didn't make it to major. By 2004, 5, 6, 7, 95% of captains are making major, and they're making it a year or two earlier. We now have a bushel of lieutenants in the Army we have no job for, just so some of them will stick around so we can have majors. If you don't have a job as a lieutenant, you're not going anywhere. You got to have a platoon, right? And maybe two. Right. These guys are getting none, or certainly just one, and it's very short, and so their experience is getting curtailed. Captains, that's a guy who's commanding a company. Hard to get those, and you're going to take anything you can get instead of like the lead company in the battalion, right? And then major, and then it goes all the way up the food chain. Well, these generals, we finally approached the Secretary of the Army. They did nothing about it back then, that time frame, and said, Mr. Secretary, this is your Army. We swore after Vietnam we would not do 90-day wonders again. You know, you're a civilian one day, and 90 days later, you're a lieutenant. This was the Lieutenant Callies of the world, right?
Right.
They had not been vetted, and they hadn't been tested before we gave them authority over troops. Here we are, 40% of the Army is now officer candidate school. And of that, the majority is, they were civilians 90 days ago. And of the balance, they were senior sergeants, and they're not going to make it to major because they're going to retire before they get there. This is an Army in collapse.
So, General Arbuckle, to what extent do you think Casey Wardynski's comments are true about the Army as it currently stands? I mean, this was an interview literally just like 4 months ago.
Sure. Well, yeah, he made some great points in there, Jeannie. But before I do that, I'd be happy to jump on that. Let me come back to Vietnam real quick, because there's a lesson here that we need to learn, and that is, in my opinion, Vietnam was a scar on the national conscience. And by what I mean by that is that, you know, we made a tremendous mistake. The news media and a large part of our population blamed the war on the warriors. And they did not recognize a fact, and that is our troops, our warriors, do not decide who to fight, where to fight, when to fight, to a large degree how to fight, and certainly not when to quit fighting. Those are all political decisions. And I hope we've learned our lesson from that, but I'm not certain we have, frankly. Another lesson is don't go to war unless you intend to win. Get in fast, hit hard, defeat the enemy, and get out. That's a lesson from Vietnam, but we haven't learned that yet. So I just want to make those 2 points before I move on.
Well, I mean, I think the point of the Casey Wardynski interview is that actually senior leadership matters. How you grow a general up through the ranks matters. And he goes on to in that interview, and it's a fantastic interview. I highly encourage people to listen to the entire interview. He talks in no uncertain terms about Milley, and says Milley was a bully. He has no respect for the man whatsoever. And I have another clip. I'm not going to play it right now, though, but essentially says that, you know, Trump is at risk of having another Milley if he's not paying attention. But he says he does feel like Trump's got the right people that are surrounding him right now. But what about our senior leadership? What about what needs to be changed? Because I know you think in terms of readiness as both people and things.
Yes. Let me comment about our officer corps, in fact, our leadership in general. What we have in place right now in our senior leadership is a product of what they've grown up with, and that is political correctness being injected into our military, which is toxic. Worst of all is DEI, and going back to the 1990s, that is when this political correctness started with Bill Clinton. He ran on a campaign and actually did take a lot of money out of the Department of Defense under the guise of a peace dividend. Now, those of us on duty back then realized that was going to cost us blood at some point in the future, which it did during the global war on terrorism. But nobody spoke up against it. So fast forward 2008, Obama comes on board. He pushes political correctness into the military again. And that continued for years. He introduced the DEI concept and policies back then. When Biden finally took over, DEI was on steroids, and it's absolutely toxic, a cancerous growth in our military. But that is the environment that our senior leadership has grown up in today, and that's what we're facing. And that's what has to be eradicated out of our military in general. So how does that affect readiness? Well, I look at readiness, as you mentioned, from two standpoints. One is people, and the other is things. And my assessment overall is our military ready to fight a peer competitor like China or maybe linked up with North Korea or Russia? My answer is no, from my personal assessment. But that's backed up by the couple of very well-known organizations. The Heritage Foundation does an annual, as you know, very deep assessment of our military strength. And last year, they rated our military overall as weak. Now, add to that, in 2022, Congress commissioned a bipartisan, Democrats and Republicans, major study on our situation, our national security policy, looking for the 21st century. And they came out with a shocking report, very well done last year. And in that, it said basically as one of the points that the United States is confronting the most serious time in terms of national security that we face since before World War II. And there's a very high likelihood we could face World War III under the current situation. And this is a kicker. They went on to say that if that happens, that kind of a war, we could lose. We could lose. Now, that's dramatic, and that gets back to readiness in the state of our military today. People go. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, I mean, I find it frightening. I mean, my son just deployed last Friday. He's a C-2 pilot. He's attached to the Nimitz. He's headed right over to the South China Sea area, Guam, Philippines, you name it. He'll be patrolling around there on the Nimitz. And, it's perilous times right now. Let's just face it. I've got two others that are in the military, and they're in training right now, so they're probably okay for a little bit. But regardless, it's just... I don't like what's going on, and I don't trust the leadership still. Right.
Well, again, they've grown up in this political correct environment, and fortunately, President Trump, as you know, along with Pete Hegseth, have committed to eradicating DEI out of our military. And there's been some executive orders issued to do that, along with some memos, and that's exactly the right thing we need to do to change the mindset. But in addition to that, we need more people. Let's talk about people a minute.
Yes.
Do we have enough? No, we don't have enough people. No. That's important. We're going through a major recruiting crisis, as you know, the worst since 1973 when the all-volunteer military was formed. There's a lot of reasons for that, and we can talk about it. A lot has to do with the state of our population that's eligible, but also DEI enters into that. Only about 23% of those who can qualify actually do qualify to come in that are in the age group of 18 to 24. And here's the shocking thing. Of those 23% who can qualify, only about 9% are interested in serving. That's a problem. All right, I'll just leave that right there. But it's not just numbers. Assuming we have the right numbers, which we don't, they have to be at the right ranks. They have to be in the right military occupational specialties.
That's right.
They have to be properly trained, and they have to be properly equipped. And we're also hurting in that regard. Now, regarding things, we can come back to people if you want. The people.
No, I want to move on to things because you know what? When you talk about things, I mean, the battlefield is changing. Although the Russian-Ukraine war seems to be somewhat conventional in terms of like its infantry, tanks, and artillery, they also are using this new drone technology. We need to get up to speed on that. But more importantly, we're a forward force through our Navy, and our Navy is like crumbling to some degree. We're retiring more ships than we're bringing on in the same time frame, and that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. On the Navy, I think they're looking for about 355 ships today. The best I can determine, they've got about 232. Same thing with aircraft. They're short.
Yes.
And the Army's short, combat vehicles and tactical vehicles. The Air Force has got a similar problem with aircraft. And in other words, all of our military is short the kinds of major fighting components that we need. And on top of that, the maintenance status of those items that we do have is drastically low. And that's shocking because the Air Force, for example, I think has a mission capable rate of their aircraft that ranges somewhere between 50 and 70%. Well, that's unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable. And the Navy's got the same problem with their ships. Of the total ships they have, a lot of them are in dry dock. Too many are in dry dock right now.
Well, look, if 50%, if 50% of my trucks, when I was a transportation platoon leader, were deadlined, forget it. Somebody's getting fired over that one.
Yeah, exactly. Your standard was 90%, as I recall.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's where we're at today. And that's shocking. That's a huge readiness factor, and that's been reflected in the Heritage Report and others like that. So what's it going to take to turn this around, I guess, is a big question.
Yes, that is the question. What do you see?
Well, I see three things, Jeannie, basically. And the first and foremost in importance is get rid of this DEI, change the culture in the military. That is absolutely critical. That's got to be done. And as I mentioned earlier, we're headed down the right path in getting that done, but it's going to take a generation, I think,
absolutely,
to flesh out that mindset that's been basically indoctrinated in too many of our leaders. All right, the second thing must happen is that we need more money. We need at least 5% of our gross national product to go into defense. I think we're at about 3 or a little bit more percent right now, but we can't throw money at this problem and solve it. We also have to make the Department of Defense a lot more efficient and effective in how we use money, in particular in the acquisition process, which in my opinion is broken. So DOGE can do a lot, I think, to help the military there become more effective and efficient. The third thing after that is we need a fresh look at our national security policy for the 21st century. The president needs to convene a blue ribbon panel of experts, put them on a fast track to analyze the threats, the real threats for the 21st century, and then come up with a new approach to our entire Department of Defense structure to deal with those threats. The last time we did this was in 1986, Jeannie, with the Goldwater-Nichols Act, and it's badly outdated. The way we're structured in our Department of Defense right now is not meeting the threats of today, and it certainly won't tomorrow. As you talked about with drones, artificial intelligence, hypersonic missiles, all that's going to change the dynamics of war. They are today already. As we see that happening, it's going to be even more so in the future. So we need to clean off the chessboard, take a fresh look at what we need for our national defense, and this needs to include our defense industrial base. It needs to include the Department of Homeland Security, because we have to link arms with Homeland Security and foreign security both. And frankly, I'm off the subject here a little bit, but for the last 4 years, with my other hat on, I've been, as the informal leader of Flag Officers for America, we've been saying the greatest threat to our constitutional republic is no longer external, it's internal. With this Marxist-based DEI that's infiltrated all of our major institutions, particularly our education system, and we see it playing out with student riots today. We see it with legal warfare happening right now. That's tearing our country apart internally. We have to address that as a major national security threat also.
Yeah, well, I would also add to that we need people who are going into the trades, people who can actually build our ships and our tanks of the future and our missiles of our future, and our engineers to be dedicated to this too. And we need actually people to be dedicated to the military and defense of our nation instead of trying to tear it down. And you don't see that. That grows through families, not just military families. There's got to be a national effort to make sure that patriotic Americans stand up and want to be involved in the defense of our nation, whether it's militarily, industrially supplying them, or actually becoming a soldier, sailor, or airman themselves. That's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. As I said, our defense industrial base is broken because of primarily skilled people.
Yeah,
it's also thanks to the skilled people. I want to make a point that you just made too, and that is serving in the military really is a family affair, and you're a great example of that with your uncles, yourself, and your sons. About 70% of the people in the Army come from a background of family service. That's a linkage right there.
Yep. Okay, we got to leave it right there. We got to move on, but I want to thank you so much, Major General Joe Arbuckle. He is the vice chairman of the board for STARS, Standing Against Racism and Radicalism in the Services. It's a fantastic website. I want everybody to check it out and sign up for their weekly emails. You'll get lots of great information from experts in this field. It's all of our responsibility to preserve the defense of our nation. Thanks a lot, Joe, for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Gene.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it, I dare you. Do it.
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer. Listen every Sunday morning at 6 for Wyatt Matters. Wyatt Matters takes a lighthearted approach to things that deeply matter by utilizing a casual, interactive talk show format. Sharing some wisdom and creating some laughter. To this end, to get people thinking about what matters. And why it matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
Come on,
on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Hey, welcome back. And listen, following up on that, I did want to play a couple more clips from that Casey Wardynski interview on Blaze. This is him about Milley being a bully.
Milley was a bully, and he was a bully in the Army, and he was a bully at the Pentagon, and a bully in Chairman Joint Chiefs. And the Joint Chiefs are not the German General Staff. They do not command. It's the President, the Secretary of Defense, and the combatant commanders around the world, whether it's CENTCOM in the Middle East or NORTHCOM for North America. But he would routinely insert himself in that and give orders as if he commanded. And he did that several times, but that was Milley.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and by the way, they're back in the mix, but there's a lot of other folks that are, okay, my new out. Okay, I got one more clip I want to play you real quick. This is more about what's going on in the military.
They're back in the mix, and this is the deep state. The network of friends, the network of college buddies, network that was on my team at West Point, whatever it is. They come rearing back because they never leave Washington, and they never really leave government. They're just waiting for their next gig.
Is the president at risk of another Milley?
Yes.
He is?
Yes.
Who needs to be running the DOD going forward?
There are some really sharp people around the president, and there are sharp people from the first administration. They have a pretty good idea of who are the people that love their country ahead of themselves, who are the people that understand the role of the military, and will do as the president lawfully orders, right? And they're not going to get into this semantics of illegal orders.
Yeah, there you go. So we got some smart people that are looking out for us, but we have a lot of people that need to be rooted out of the military right now. And so, yeah, by the way, Obama got rid of about 200 generals. So I don't want to hear the crying when the generals start to go away.
Maria Aldinger, he's just starting his second term as President Trump, looking to run for a third.
I'm not looking at that, but I'll tell you, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which is in a way a fourth term, because the other election, the 2020 election, was totally rigged. So it's actually sort of a fourth term in a certain way. I just don't want the credit for the second.
The president speaking to reporters on board Air Force One as he returned to Mar-a-Lago. He's now constitutionally prohibited from seeking another term. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds wants to be a state's next governor.
If you want Donald Trump to be successful in his mission to make America great again, Republicans have to continue to go to the polls.
Donalds on Fox News Sunday. Incumbent Ron DeSantis has mentioned his wife Casey as a possible candidate. America's listening to Fox News.
It's Reveille. Later today, stranded American astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will hopefully, and in all likelihood, return safely to Earth. A trip to the International Space Station that was to last just days left them stuck in space for 9 months. Their return is entirely the result of Elon Musk's SpaceX operation, which built and launched the spacecraft that safely arrived on Sunday and will return them today. The astronauts in a video message publicly thanked Musk and President Trump for their rescue. According to reports, Musk offered to send his spacecraft to the station months ago, but President Biden refused, worried that it would look like a victory for Trump in the middle of the campaign, since Musk was closely aligned with Trump. Democrats preferred to sacrifice astronauts over giving Trump any advantage. At the same time, Elon Musk's spaceship is scheduled to land with Wilmore and Williams on board. The DuPage Democrats have planned a Tesla takedown protest outside the Tesla dealership in Lisle. This protest event comes after canceling Henry Hyde. They are staging the protest to encourage resistance against Musk for reining in useless and fraudulent spending. Stand up and fight back against an unelected billionaire, they say. But the American people overwhelmingly support Musk's efforts, and that Tesla dealership is a thriving business that provides jobs and lots of sales tax revenue. To protest Tesla, the most successful electric vehicle company in the world, is to eschew their virtues of a green economy, proving their green goals were only political talking points. It's no wonder NBC polls show support for the Democrat Party is just 27% among registered voters. Keep it up, DuPage Democrats. To save the republic, we need more people to be exposed to your radical, nonsensical, and hypocritical ideas. I'm Jeannie Ives. Check out The Real Story with me Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher inviting you to join me on the Patriots Alaska Cruise this summer, along with Larry Elder, Joe Piscopo, Jennifer Horn. Enjoy Alaska's breathtaking beauty like never before. Text the keyword travel to 94878 to reserve your stateroom today. This luxury trip is your chance to experience majestic scenery, patriotism, adventure. We sail August 16th through the 23rd. Reserve your stateroom today. Text travel to 94878. That's travel to 94878.
Empowering independence in every corner of your home is why Lang Home Medical Equipment exists. If you're a caregiver of an aging parent, grandparent, or loved one, keeping them at home is one of the biggest blessings that you can provide. From mobility equipment to essential home modifications, Lang Home Medical Equipment has the products and services you need to enhance their quality of life. Whether your loved one has been in an accident, or you need a temporary solution, or they've come to live with you, so integrating a more permanent arrangement is necessary, it's all possible. Lang Home Medical Equipment's highly trained staff understands the stresses that can be involved with caring for a loved one and will truly listen to your challenges and offer innovative, safe, and cost-effective, high-quality products and services, including stair lifts, vehicle lifts, scooters, accessibility ramps, and much more. To learn more about how to enhance your loved one's quality of life, Lang Home Medical Equipment offers free in-home consultations. You can also visit them at either of their 2 Chicagoland showrooms or at langhme.com. That's Lang, LANGHME.com.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Oh, yeah. It's been one of those nights, I gotta tell you. Kind of off the numbers a little bit, but we're going to get right back on track. We know who's watching. The Watchdogs are watching, and here with us to talk about how important local elections are Kirk Allen and John Kraft, the Edgar County Watchdogs. They've been at it for a long time, and I saw John for breakfast this morning. I happened to be in Coles County last night giving a speech at their Lincoln Day dinner. Thank you so much for having me at the Republican Lincoln Day dinner there. Appreciated that. And I saw John for breakfast this morning. He handed me their big packet. Well, it's not a big packet. It's just like it's a binder, and it basically goes through every single case that they've been involved in up through 2023. And of course, that doesn't include 2024 and so much more. And I got to say, I'm imagining that there were probably cases in 2024, mainly Tiffany Hennard, that might be some of your top 10 cases, because that's what we're going to talk about with them. It's local election time, guys. So you've been hearing from the Watchdogs now ever since I've been on the radio. So it's, it'll be 2 years in July. We do this segment every single week. because it's important to pay attention to what's happening locally. And you have a chance to pay attention and vote correctly this Tuesday at the local elections. So I thought, why not go through the top 10 list that you guys have been dealing with since your time in office. So, John and Kirk, you gave me kind of a list. Who'd like to kind of start with some of their top local problems?
I could start, I guess.
Okay.
Thanks for breakfast, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome.
You know, you get what you vote for, and if you don't vote, you get what everybody else votes for.
Perfect.
So, you know, if you don't vote, you really shouldn't be complaining, except try to get more people out to vote the next time. So our first one here is Chris Mahatsko, Kendall, Grundy County Regional Office of Education. He routinely gives away $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in employee bonuses, and it's not written into their employee agreement. They formed a professional development alliance with Will County and placed all their employees working for Vista Learning, which was a private company. So Vista Learning could sell software all over the country. They essentially were private employees working for Vista Learning, getting paid through a government paycheck so they could, Vista would reimburse them, but that way they could participate in IMRF. The ROE was the independent contractor for the private company, and they even hosted the offshore Majestic Isles Casino email servers.
You cannot make that up.
Which was run on the state of Illinois IT system.
And is there still a pending lawsuit over this? Because this one really bothers me.
No, nothing happened.
Oh, God.
But they did shut down the Professional Development Alliance, and Vista Learning went off on their own, but they're still operating. But my belief is all that work that was done by the government employees should belong to the government, not that private company.
Yeah, for sure.
Then there's another one, Hanover Township, paying homeowners using public money that they in the past, and some of it is still going on. Homeowners' real estate taxes, through general and emergency assistance, the car insurance, homeowners association dues. You name it, just tons of money.
That is insane. You said also home association dues, HOA fees. Taxpayers are covering HOA fees. Sell the damn condo. Go rent.
And they have a township emergency services where part of it is going out and patrolling the streets to help the municipal police and the sheriff's department. Well, that's not the job of a township, to patrol the streets. And they got drones they set up in the air to help them do that and everything else. That's not a township job.
Gosh.
The next one would be fire protection districts. A Paris fireman pled guilty to stealing gas. He had a private construction company. He would use a fire district credit card for all of his fuel. Oakland fire trustees. There were three trustees, and they were all related to each other. Two of them were charged with theft. One pled guilty. One is still fighting it. And tens and tens of thousands of dollars from a tiny volunteer fire.
Oakland is tiny. It's a really tiny town.
I know, and it's no different than. You talked about Orland Fire District earlier in this session, where they were paying some lady who was sitting in the federal penitentiary. They were paying her for DEI stuff.
This should be a comedy skit.
I know it should be.
It's a joke. Okay.
And then with the airport authorities, we just went around the state with the airport authorities: Springfield, Bloomington, Normal, Quad Cities, Vermilion, DuPage, Rockford, Coles County, T1E, and Kankakee airport authorities. They all had commissioners that law, according to state law, could not sit as a commissioner. you can't have any other government employment or office, period, to sit in those positions. And one of them had a contracting company and he won the bid to put new roofs on the airport authority because the attorney told him it was okay. Well, he resigned, and then when it's time for one of the terms to end, he was reappointed, and that's fine. He was reappointed. He didn't have any contracts after that. But it's still ridiculous that people would actually think that you could do that. And let's see. My final one is, yes, Tiffany Henyard.
I knew she'd be on your list or Kirk's. I knew it.
I mean, my first visit up there.
And wait, she's a double whammy, right? Because Dalton Mayor, which is a local elected position, and Thornton Township, another local elected position, on the ballot, guys. It's on the ballot on Tuesday. Go ahead.
My first visit up there, the trustees complained because she locked them out of Village Hall, and I told them, I said, just have the stinking meeting in the parking lot. So they did, and I was there with my camera and filmed it. They had their meeting in the parking lot, and they had several meetings in the parking lot. Finally, she decided, it wasn't going to do no good to lock them out of City Hall. And she locks people out of City Hall all the time. She locks people out of Thornton Township. She spends tens and tens of thousands giving away giant flat-screen TVs, stainless steel refrigerators and appliances, washers, dryers, you name it, and big bingo for the township. You can't do that. She bought two, $100,000+ fully equipped, unmarked police Tahoes and put municipal police plates on them for the township. You can't do that. Townships don't have police departments, and she used the road district money to do it with. I mean, Dalton's like $8 million in the hole right now.
Yeah, piece of work. I mean, you can't make it up. Okay, all right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back to talk to Kirk Allen about who's on his top list for worst elected officials in the state of Illinois.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com, or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products. Turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
Hi, I'm Michael Alfaro, host of The Michael Alfaro Show. Join me each week as we tackle the issues you want to know more about, like foreign and national policies, how big money influences Washington, D.C., and so much more. Learn firsthand from elected officials and political insiders about the important policy decisions changing our world. Find me at michaelafaroshow.com and then join me, Michael Alfaro, every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Yeah, welcome back. We're having a lot of fun tonight, actually, because we've got the Edgar County Watchdogs. And I mean, you just can't make up the stuff that they're talking about, just the corruption. And here it is. Here's the Edgar County Watchdogs book John gave me. And it's updated through March 15th, 2023. Wow. You guys are 2 years behind now. And this book has like all the stuff that they've been doing, all the counties, the townships, they have an index even in there, so you can find out what's going on. It's a great book. I don't know, can people get this on your website, or do you have it online? Hello?
We've circulated.
Oh, you have?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we've circulated copies, but right now we don't have it available online. It's kind of a more or less a keeping track for ourselves, and we present it to folks when we do our training to show them that they can make a difference, because every article that's in there exposes something local, and it emphasizes how important local elections really are.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. Counties: Edgar, DuPage, Ford, Hancock, Crawford, Iroquois, LaSalle, Coles, Shelby, Madison, St. Clair, Stark County. You even have county probation officers listed out. You've got municipalities. This is just fantastic. So Kirk, your list is a little bit different than John's, but you had picked out some of your top local elected officials that need some more scrutiny and are really, really good examples for why people need to pay attention and vote correctly.
And I want to emphasize, when we fail to take care of things locally, we shouldn't question what goes on in Washington, because the people locally are the ones that go to Washington, and they take these bad habits with them. And when we let them get away with it here, they get away with it there. And if we can't fix it locally, we're never going to fix it nationally, in my opinion.
That's a really good point.
The top 10 list, we always, people always ask us, what's the top 10? It is next to impossible to identify, because everybody's perspective is so different. But the one that just galls me is the Frank Montino case. Frank Montino is our state auditor general, and that man was voted in by the General Assembly.
I was one of 10 votes who voted no. I voted against him. 1 of 10. Okay. Just wanted to qualify that. Go ahead.
You bet. And that man, the money he spent from his campaign, confirmed through from the Illinois Supreme Court, and there's been zero accountability, never faced charges. I mean, it's shocking, and he is still the Auditor General and still going to be receiving $160,000 or $180,000 a year in retirement when he's done with his term in 2026.
That's right. Starting pension about $158,000 per year starting pension.
Had anybody vetted his D2 filings, his local D2 filings when he was a state rep, they would have never put his name up for Auditor General.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
It was too little, too late. And vetting is important. The information was out there. It's publicly on the website, on the State Board of Elections, and nobody was looking at it. It's just amazing. So Frank Montino, I think, is one of the top ones. Some of the others that are, localized up north, Bob Bruder with College of DuPage, we all saw the malfeasance that went on there.
Mm-hmm.
One trustee stood up and fought and reached out to people and was able to literally bring every facet in the political aisles, from the left to the right, all together. And you lived that right there in your district.
Yes, I did. Yep.
You saw what happened with COD.
I actually authored and got passed 4 reform bills based off of what happened at COD.
That's right. There was some great legislation that came out of that to fix a lot of that garbage. Lawrence Wiley, District 210.
Oh, this one bugs the hell out of me. Oh,
I mean, 6 felony charges, by the feds, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and they kept postponing the trial, and they finally dropped the charges because of a medical condition, his inability to assist in his own defense. So basically, he got away with it, and that guy's making $350,000+ a year in retirement now.
Scumbag superintendent, and the school board. The school board's at fault, though. Okay, so he did all this. I get it, and the feds are. I have a problem with the feds dropping this case. I have a problem with everything about it. But the school board, your own elected school board there in Lincoln Way School Board, they are the ones who are at fault here. In my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we've got to get school boards elected that understand they're in charge. The superintendents are not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell you how many school board meetings we go to, and the superintendents run the meeting. And we love it when it happens because we interject and say, well, excuse me, if he can talk, we can talk, because he's not the board chairman. He's not on the board. He doesn't run the meeting. And literally force the school board to run their own meetings. But it happens all across the state. Superintendents are out of control, and it's because we've allowed school board members to do it. They just sit back and take whatever the superintendent says.
Well, it's the education industrial complex when it comes to school boards. You've got your Illinois Association of School Boards. You've got your principals association. You've got your teachers associations. You've got you name it, and and the school board, very, very rarely does the school board actually run the schools. They get co-opted by the administration and all these experts that are just not experts, honestly. They're just making money off of the whole system. It's sick. It's sick. We need really, really good school board members.
You mentioned Coles County. You were just down here.
Yes, I was.
We haven't written about this. This just happened here in the last month. We've uncovered, or information was sent to us that was uncovered. The Mattoon School District has been paying property tax on a building that they own and operate for school purposes to the tune of $300,000.
Why?
It's supposed to be tax exempt. Oh, because nobody filed the proper paperwork to make it tax exempt when the school took over the building.
What
so
the
for
hell?
3 years, guess who's on that? Guess who the school board chairman is on that Mattoon School District?
I know. He was also one of the traitorous Republicans who voted for the 32% tax increase in 2017.
Former Senator Dale Ryder.
Yep, former Senator Dale Ryder's in charge, and he can't even figure that out in the budget that they shouldn't be paying the $3 million in property taxes.
$300,000. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot. That's a lot to a small school district down there.
Absolutely. Oh, it's huge.
And I did meet at the Coles County dinner last night. I did meet 3 school board people running for school board, and I think and for that particular district, Mattoon, and they seem really sharp. They seem top notch. So you've got options there.
Heidi Larson is a great gal over there that's just absolutely demanding accountability, and she's an asset to that community.
And then there were 2 other gentlemen, and I don't remember the names. I'm bad with names. So, okay, that's a good one. Yep.
On to a more amazing one, and why we can't get state's attorneys to do their job is beyond me. But imagine being arrested for having a gun with a filed-off serial number you go to jail. But the sheriff turns around and sells that very gun and documents that it is sold to a deputy, and it's documented that it has a filed-off serial number. Now, not only can deputies not participate in sheriff sales, sheriffs aren't allowed to sell seized weapons, and I think most everybody knows when the serial number is filed off, it's a federal crime. Possession of one is a federal crime. Yet we have our former Edgar County Sheriff did that, and zero accountability from anybody. The state, the feds, the ATF, nobody touched it. Now, how is that possible?
So the Edgar County Sheriff did it? He wasn't the only one, though, right?
Oh, he was the one that sold one with the filed-off serial number. We have about 6 other sheriffs in the state that were selling seized weapons. So the former Coles County Sheriff Darrell Cox, who happens to be the Coles County Board Chairman, he was selling seized weapons in direct violation of court orders that ordered those guns to be destroyed. He didn't destroy them. He sold them. Not one accountability to that man, and he is now a sitting county chairman in Coles County.
Yeah, and he was there last night, too, at the very dinner that I spoke at. I did not introduce myself. You warned me about him.
I mean, when you tell people you've got to get involved and you have to step up and start throwing these people out, it's amazing the stuff that we elected anymore. I mean, it's just shocking. And you tell people this, oh, it can't be true. There's no way. You're making that up. And all of this is true. We can't keep up with the stories. We tell some of these things in a training session, and there'll be 20 people in the training session that tell us their own local stories that are just as shocking.
Yeah.
It's happening everywhere.
Well, you had one more, but we only have 30 seconds left, so I'm just going to leave it there. But I want to thank you so much. Do we only have 30 seconds left? Yep, we do. Okay. So I want to thank you so much for digging into the local stuff. That's really important. And voters, though, it's up to you to vote for the right people. We're signing off for the night. Thanks a lot, John and Kirk. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, and we'll be here next week.
What do you think about? More money, a bigger house, maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How do you wake up each day? How do you sleep during the night? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. It doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. How do I know? Absolutely am a customer. I take Relief Factor daily. No lower back pain for me anymore. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Just one phone call, 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF. Relief Factor, relief wherever you're hurting in 3 weeks or even days. Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for the one and only Relief Factor.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.